Beneath Berlin's bustling streets, where the city's energy pulses day and night, another world lies hidden from view. Down here, a silence lingers, one that is heavy with the weight of history and the memories of a world at war. Here, beneath layers of earth and concrete, the Führerbunker, Hitler's final headquarters, became the grave of the Third Reich, a place where history took a dark and irreversible turn. Once these rooms echoed with fear, desperation, and the frantic last days of a collapsing regime. Now only quiet remains, as if the walls themselves are holding their breath. This silence is a warning, not a monument, a reminder of the dangers of unchecked power and fanaticism. The bunker was more than just concrete and steel. It was a symbol of a regime's collapse, a fortress built for protection that became a tomb for its ideals. For a few tense weeks in 1945, it was the entire world for those trapped inside, soldiers, officers, and civilians alike, all facing the end. No heroes emerged here, only fanaticism, despair, and the end of a nightmare that had consumed millions. Today, cars and pedestrians pass above, most unaware of the darkness and secrets that lie just beneath their feet. The site is deliberately unremarkable, a car park, residential buildings, so it cannot become a shrine or a place of pilgrimage. The absence of a monument is itself a message. Some histories must be remembered, not celebrated, and some places are best left unadorned. Our journey begins here, in a city rebuilt from ashes, where the past is buried but never erased. We'll peel back layers of concrete and silence to hear the whispers of those final days and to understand what was lost and what was learned. This is not a tale of battles, but of human drama in the war's suffocating end, of choices, regrets, and the haunting cost of fanaticism. The nightmare ended here, but its legacy lingers, buried but not forgotten, echoing in the silence beneath Berlin. Let's descend into the shadows together, to understand the lessons left behind, and to confront the echoes that still shape our world. The Führerbunker didn't appear overnight. It evolved as the war worsened, a response to the growing sense of danger that gripped Nazi leadership as Allied bombs rained down on Berlin. The first shelter, the Vorbunker, was built in 1936 beneath the Reich Chancellery, intended as a precaution but soon to become the foundation for something far more sinister. By 1943, as the war turned against Germany, a deeper, stronger bunker was constructed, the Führerbunker proper, hidden beneath layers of earth and secrecy. 9 meters underground, with 3-meter-thick concrete walls, it was designed to be impregnable, a last redoubt against the chaos above. Inside, about 30 cramped rooms housed Hitler, Eva Braun, Goebbels, and their closest aides, all living in claustrophobic proximity as the world outside collapsed. The bunker had its own power, water, and air systems, a self-contained world engineered for survival, yet isolated from the city it was meant to rule. But this fortress was also a prison, cutting its inhabitants off from reality, trapping them in a maze of concrete and fear as the Red Army closed in. The thick walls protected them from bombs, but not from the truth of defeat, nor from the growing sense of doom that seeped through every corridor. The air was stale, the hum of ventilation constant, and hope was in short supply. Every day the atmosphere grew heavier, as if the walls themselves pressed in. Paranoia and delusion reigned as the regime's end drew near, with trust eroding and fear becoming the only constant companion. Built to survive catastrophe, the bunker became the stage for it, as Berlin burned and the world above was reduced to rubble. Here, the final act of the Third Reich would play out in darkness, with only the echo of distant explosions to mark the passing of time. The fortress designed for survival became a tomb for its creators, a grim monument to fear, delusion, and the end of a nightmare. By April 1945, life in the Führerbunker was a grim routine. Outside, Soviet artillery thundered. Inside, order was forced but hollow. Hitler, frail and delusional, issued commands to armies that no longer existed. Generals listened, knowing the orders were futile. The bunker was crowded. Leaders, secretaries, guards, even the Goebbels' children. Eva Braun tried to keep up appearances, but despair was everywhere. Food and drink remained, but they only highlighted the hopelessness. Some drank to escape, others, like Secretary Traudl-Junge, simply did their jobs. The psychological toll was immense. No daylight, stale air, constant fear. Time lost meaning. The normal rules of life no longer applied. For some, it was a test of faith. For others, a terrifying trap. This was the dying regime's final, tragic act, played out in darkness. In late April 1945, the bunker's world shrank to a handful of rooms. The Red Army was at the gates. Artillery shook the walls. Hitler, once master of Europe, was now a prisoner underground. On April 22nd, he learned his last hope for a counterattack had failed. In a rage, he accepted defeat and vowed to die in Berlin. The mood shifted. Grim preparation replaced desperate hope. Hitler planned his death, tested cyanide on his dog, and distributed capsules to staff. The bunker became a tomb in waiting, not a command center. He dictated his final testaments, blaming others and expelling former allies. His world narrowed to a circle of the most loyal. The dictator who dreamed of world rule now orchestrated his own end. In the bunker's final hours, Hitler married Eva Braun. The ceremony was brief, somber, and surreal, witnessed by Goebbels and Bormann. Champagne was served, but celebration was impossible. Hitler reminisced with his secretaries. Eva tried to smile through the tension. The marriage lasted less than 2 days. Immediately after, Hitler dictated his final documents, private and political testaments. He blamed others, appointed Dönitz as successor, and showed no remorse. His private testament explained his marriage and desire to die in Berlin. He ordered his possessions destroyed or distributed. Messengers were sent to break through Soviet lines with the documents. With the paperwork done, only death remained. The final act was set. On April 30th, 1945, the end arrived. Berlin was a city in ruins, its streets choked with rubble and smoke, the sounds of battle echoing through the night. After a final lunch, Hitler and Eva Braun said their goodbyes to the few loyal followers who remained. The atmosphere was tense, heavy with the knowledge that the world outside was collapsing. They retreated to Hitler's study, a cramped, dimly lit room deep underground. A single gunshot soon echoed through the concrete corridors, marking the moment history changed forever. Hitler was dead by suicide, Eva by cyanide. Their lives ended together as the world above them burned. Their bodies were carried to the Chancellery garden, doused in petrol, and burned as Soviet shells fell nearby. Flames consumed what remained, erasing their physical presence. The remaining Nazis gave a final salute, then retreated underground, haunted by defeat and the knowledge that their world was ending. There was no grand finale, just a sordid, quiet end. The bunker, once filled with voices and commands, fell silent. The dictator who brought Europe to ruin died in a small, airless room, surrounded by concrete and shadows, far from the world he once sought to dominate. The bunker, once a fortress, was now a tomb. Its walls, which had witnessed so much, now held only silence and decay. The nightmare ended, not with a bang, but with silence and fire. The city above smouldered, while the world below faded into darkness. The world above moved on, slowly rebuilding from the ashes, but the darkness below lingered, a reminder of what had been lost. The final chapter of the Third Reich closed in smoke and ash, its legacy marked by destruction and sorrow. The silence that followed was absolute, echoing through the empty corridors and the ruined city above. After Hitler's death, chaos consumed the bunker. The Goebbels family followed in suicide, killing their children first. Survivors tried to escape, but most were killed or captured by Soviets. On May 2nd, Red Army soldiers entered the Chancellery and the bunker. They found silence, debris, and the bodies of the Goebbels family. In the garden, they discovered the charred remains of Hitler and Eva Braun. Soviet investigators confirmed Hitler's identity through dental records. Stalin kept the truth secret, fueling decades of conspiracy. In 1947, the Soviets tried to destroy the bunker, but much of it survived underground. The site was buried and forgotten, sealed off by the Berlin Wall. For years, it was a ghost beneath a divided city. The center of Nazi power became an unmarked tomb. For decades, the Führerbunker's location was hidden beneath the Berlin Wall's death strip. The East German government ignored it. The world forgot. After reunification, construction unearthed the bunker's remains. Archaeologists mapped the ruins, but the site was quickly reburied. Fearing it could become a neo-Nazi shrine, Germany chose not to memorialize it. Today, apartments and a car park cover the site. Only a small, discreet sign marks what lies beneath. The story is told not through monuments, but through memory and record. The physical remnants are sealed away. The heavy memory remains, a warning beneath ordinary ground. The Führerbunker is more than a ruin, it's a warning. It marks the end of a hateful ideology, not with glory, but with defeat and shame. Berlin's choice to cover the site is deliberate. No honor for perpetrators. The absence of a monument speaks louder than stone. The bunker's story is a lesson in the dangers of fanaticism and blind loyalty. It shows how ordinary people can become complicit in extraordinary crimes. The silence above is remembrance, a scar in the city's heart. The past is buried, but not gone. The Führerbunker stands as a silent warning. Never forget how low humanity can sink. Vigilance against hatred is our only monument.